How much money did I make from property in 2022? This year's been an interesting year all year round, and the main focus has been about reinvesting into my growing deal packaging and the education business. So a lot of the money has been reinvested, but that doesn't mean I haven't been purchasing throughout 2022. And this video, I'm going to be breaking down the purchases that I made this year and what I've made from it. So the first one is 7 Wade Street in Pudsey, and this property was one of 5 in the property portfolio that the landlord was looking to sell off due to personal circumstances. We end up picking up just this one property, and we sold the remainder of the 4 to fund the purchase of the 5th, which is a common strategy I really like doing in order to build my business, but also self-fund the portfolio as I'm investing. This particular property we got for $145,000, and after some negotiating and getting some works done, we managed to get the value of the property up to $195,000. A really nice boost to the equity in the portfolio. The next 2 in the portfolio is number 2 Netherthorpe Villas in Sheffield, and this was actually 3 properties that came to us. The vendor on this one was looking to sell in order to fund a bigger development, and so because of this they were able to take a bit of a discount in order for a fast purchase. We ended up taking on 2 of the properties and sold the 3rd onto an investor just because it was outside our remit and we needed to facilitate the client. We bought both of these for $152,000 a piece, and we managed to get a great discount on the property by being direct to vendor. So a lot of the properties that we end up taking on, we utilize Facebook ads and other marketing streams to be able to talk directly to the vendor to understand their concerns, what problem they've got, and the solution that we can provide to it. Thanks to a little bit of a discount and of course great capital growth, which is what we focus on, great areas for, those are now worth $200,000 each, and we're currently going through the refinance of those properties. At this point, I just want to give a shout out to today's video sponsor, Landlord. Landlord has been instrumental to growing the portfolio this year, and it is our one-stop shop for analysing all of these properties before putting forward our final offer. They offer so much more, and also these Netherthorpe properties were funded through Landlord's bridging arm, so it's really good rates. You can cut out the broker fees in the middle and get the best straight to market on your doorstep. So it's a completely free platform, by the way. They don't charge you to be a member there, and you can get access with the link in the description below. Next is number 18 Cutsick in glorious Cas Vegas, known by the locals, you might know it as Castleford. Now this property is an absolute shithole property, if I'm completely honest. We bought it for £106,000 and we're spending about 35 grand on that. So it is a big undertaking. I'll be honest, I am not a massive fan of doing huge refurbishments. Yes, you can buy, refurbish, refinance, pull out a decent chunk of money, but it just takes up so much time and attention where that could be spent elsewhere making money. So why did I buy this one? Because of how sought after the properties are in that area, and I know again it's going to have incredible capital growth. So as I said, about 106 grand and 35 grand spent on it, and we're looking at an end value of 170,000. So is it the deal of the century of being able to pull out a load of money? No, there's going to be a load of money left in, but it's a great area. I know it's going to get insane capital growth, and it will be rented all year round consistently. On that note, I think a lot of people, they focus on a discount of property sometimes in a rough area or a problem property, but actually what I've learned over the last decade is that discount, that 5-10 grand, just doesn't really mean much to the overall value of the portfolio in 10 to 20 years. What I've actually learned, especially in the last few years, is buying in the right locations will be better than any discount. So if I get a 20% discount in a really shit location, guess what? In 10 years, it's still a shit location. So I might have bought it for 80 grand, it's still worth 80, 90, 100 grand. Whereas if I buy a 140 grand property in my areas, not yours, yours, but in a great area at market value, in 10 years' time, it's going to be worth $250,000 plus. That's the sort of returns, that long-term thinking that I'm focused on. Property number 5 is 57 Tong Road. This is a really unique property in the fact that we bought it and the previous owner got planning to turn it into a HMO, but for whatever reason didn't end up doing it. For those that don't know what that is, that's a house of multiple occupancy where multiple people, 3 or more unrelated parties, rent a room instead of the overall property. So we've hit this one up for £135,000 in Armley, which baffles me in 2 ways. Number one, it is such a fast growing property. Here's the idea, by the way. We bought it 135. It's now worth £195,000. What? And that's from a little bit of development into it, but mainly the huge amount of capital growth. The other reason why I think this is crazy is 5 years ago in Armley, you would be picking up 70, 80 grand properties like that. Another area in Leeds like Beeston and Hunslet, need to be careful with some areas. Same sort of thing. A few years back, everything was sub 100. Now it's 120, 130 plus thousand. But as I said, that's 195,000. So those 5 purchases bring us just shy of £1 million right now. So we got the Wade Street property at 195 grand. We've got the 2 Netherthorpe properties at 200 grand a piece. Cutsyke at 165 grand. And of course, Tong Road at 200,000, bringing us to £955,000 in value. Let's head over to Doncaster for property number 6, which is Granville. Now, it's really interesting. Granville Crescent is in an area called Stainforth. And I've been talking about Stainforth as a really weird area for like the last 4 years. And every time I talk about Stainforth from somebody from Doncaster, like, rough area, rough area, rough area. And we've been buying properties there for probably about 70 grand, 80 grand, a lot pre-COVID. And the reason why the locals are like, oh, is it is a rough area. It is. However, in fact, you might remember Stainforth in one of my videos when I did a review of it. But there's huge development. I mean, hundreds of millions, if not billions, of development going in there. Thousands of jobs created. Fast forward to today, by the way, they're worth £120,000. Those 70 to 80 grand properties just 3-4 years ago. So a quick tip is always look at the local development plan. Always understand the macro situation that the local councils, the government are reinvesting in, because that's going to give you a good guide to capital growth. Now, this particular property, I won't go into the personal situation of the vendor, but we actually picked it up for £78,500 due to the vendor situation and the motivation behind it. But again, we took that on with instant equity of 40 grand and we got £120,000 property with a significant discount. Property number 7 is Park Road in Doncaster. This is about 20 yards away from one of the first properties, and like the first 2 or 3 properties we ever bought, which was Barnsley Road. Now, back then, this was probably about 5.5, 6 years ago now. You could buy property there for £70,000. Now the same property is £120,000. So again, huge capital growth over that period. Now this property, we end up buying for £82,000. It's going to cost £12,000 to refurbish it and get the works done. And the end valuation's coming in at about £115,000 to £120,000. The cool tip with this is utilizing your network. So the individual, a guy called Gareth, is actually one of my mentees. He's somebody that I've educated, got a background in building, and he was local. Just comes into that factor that your network is your net worth. Utilize the teams that you've got around you to help you on your journey. So that's number 7, bringing us to around 1.2 million in total portfolio volume. Finally, let's go over property number 8. This brings us back to Pudsey. It's 53 Fort Road. Now, this property we bought for around 200,000, and we're going to be doing a refurb on it, a small, well, mid-range, let's say, about £20,000. And the end value of this property is £250,000. £1,000. So again, part of that is by adding value through the refurbishment. Again, I'm not a massive fan of doing that. Also getting a bit of a discount from the vendor due to the situation. Again, this was a direct to vendor Facebook ad lead, but also the huge amount of capital growth. I am really pushing on great capital growth areas, looking at the macro, looking at what investment has gone in to the portfolio. So let's wrap that all up. How much money has gone in? How much money has come out? And let me know if you think this was a good purchase. So in total, we've invested 1.03 million into the purchase of the properties. We've put in about 150,000 into refurbishments, and we've got a GDV of just over 1.4 million in the property portfolio. After all of that and the refinance, we will leave in £136,000 cash for the 1.4 million portfolio, and we've got added equity of £357,000. Not only that, these are in high capital growth areas, so the UK's average growth of 7.9% should be maintained or hopefully above that over the long term. So on top of that, just to recalibrate, these are our buy-to-let portfolio that we've kept. We've also traded, which is where we buy and sell about £3 million worth of properties. We've done about £3.4 million of developments this year, which we'll do another video on. And I've loaned out into about £10 million worth of projects as well, which is where I loan out money to mentees to help them build their portfolios and their property trading business. So once again, I just want to give a massive shout out to Landlord for sponsoring this video. And I wanted them to do this video in particular because every single one of these properties went through the Landlord analysis tool, which you could get access to for free by clicking the link, making a username. Again, it is completely free, by the way, all the way through. And also on three of these properties, we actually used the Landlord bridging because they were the best rates. We didn't have to pay broker fees, and you can get access to those too. So click the link below, enjoy it, and I hope you got value from this video. Let me know if you thought these were good purchases. What would you have done different? And let me know, did you make any purchases this year? Hopefully the channel has been valuable to enhance that journey for you. If you are new to the channel, you want to find out more, then January is the perfect time for that, because in January we are hitting you with 30 videos in 30 days, kickstarting your property journey in 2023. Make sure to hit the subscribe and the notification bell for that. And if you did get value, it helps me tremendously if you lightly destroy the like button on the way to your next video.